Good evening. This year we have celebrated 75 years since the evacuation of the civilian population of Gibraltar during the Second World War. This has taken place under the very fitting banner of honouring a generation. This commemoration is important to us as a government, and indeed to all of us as a people. A very special memorial event took place at Casement Square, at which hundreds of former evacuees were present. An exhibition at the John Mackintosh Hall included photographs of the evacuee centres in London, Madeira, Jamaica and Northern Ireland. There will be a one-off bank holiday on the 7th of September, which will be known as Evacuation Commemoration Day. The wartime evacuation of Gibraltarians was a landmark in the political development of Gibraltar. Nothing would ever be the same again after the trauma of those turbulent years. The evacuees who left the rock in the uncertainty of war were changed forever by the experiences that they had to endure. The men who stayed behind to defend the fortress were shocked by the little control that they had over their own affairs. Overnight, women, children, the elderly and the infirm were ordered to leave their homes. The experiences that both groups underwent was fundamental in the demand for greater self-government that followed the war. Gibraltar owes a huge debt to the evacuation generation. It is a debt that the GSLP Liberal government has been determined to honour. Putting our people at the centre of what we do in this way has been a hallmark of the last 3.5 years of government. In that time, we have concentrated on the delivery of a manifesto. This has been our programme of government. You will have heard that others have described the manifesto as a mere wish list. We don't share this view. The manifesto represents our commitment with you, with the electorate. It is what we set out to do after you have placed your trust in us. We have delivered what we promised. Indeed, the number and proportion of our 2011 manifesto that is now in place, in progress or ongoing, is without precedent in Gibraltar. We have methodically gone through the list of items that we promised you one by one and take them off the list as they have been completed. Our political opponents have mocked this style of doing things. That they should do this will take nobody by surprise, given that their own manifesto obviously meant so little to them. Our approach, in sharp contrast to this, has been methodical, organised and businesslike. We promised Commonwealth Park, a green area in the centre of town, and we have delivered it. We promised hundreds of affordable homes for our people, and we have delivered them. We promised the refurbishment of the forgotten estates, and we are delivering this. We promised a small boats marina, and it continues to take shape. We have improved our beaches, increased accessibility, provided jellyfish nets and car parking. The University of Gibraltar and 2 new schools are well on the way to completion. There have been cases where we have had to adapt the pledge following technical or other advice. This has meant, for example, that the car park below Commonwealth Park was moved further north to Reclamation Road. The bathing area in mid-harbours was provided at Garcia instead. We have provided physical infrastructure for all to see. We have also provided legislative reform in many areas. There is now no smoking in enclosed public places. A Public Interest Disclosure Act is in place. Civil partnership legislation is now on the statute books. Legislation setting up an Office of Fair Trading has been approved by Parliament. A Freedom of Information Act is on the way. A new Town Planning Act has already been published. It must be clear to everyone that we have carried out a revolution over the last 3 years. We have radically changed Gibraltar for the better. Nowhere is that seen clearer than in the way we have improved the quality of democracy in Gibraltar. It is incredible that those who presided over a closed and secretive administration for 16 years should now be critical of what we have done. We promised to bring government closer to the citizen, and we have done so. We promised to open up the planning process to the press and to the public. We have published more government information online than ever before. The Chief Minister has answered your questions live once a quarter. We have called meetings of Parliament 9 or 10 times a year. I still remember when there used to be 1 or 2 meetings of Parliament in the whole year. Indeed, I was there in 2003 when there was only 1 meeting, only 1 question time. Clearly, some people have very short memories. I fully acknowledge that there is always more work to be done and that no system is perfect. However, the undeniable truth is that we have improved on these issues far beyond what existed when the GSD was in office, and the opposition should be gracious enough to admit it. I also want to touch briefly on the way the government has improved our representation before the European Union. Our mission is both to take Gibraltar to Europe and to bring Europe to Gibraltar. The expanded office in Brussels was opened by the Chief Minister in May. This will serve as a very useful base from which to take our case to the EU institutions. Indeed, I've been to Brussels 3 times this year, during which I met with 3 commissioners and over 30 MEPs. The chair of the Petitions Committee of the European Parliament was in Gibraltar recently on a fact-finding visit. After that, a group of parliamentary assistants also came here to learn more about Gibraltar. The lobbying will continue. It is also producing results in Washington. On this and on every other issue, your government has worked together like a team of 10 colleagues and 10 friends, each of whom, each individual, has brought something different to the larger whole. And so, as we move slowly towards a general election in the coming months, I would ask you to bear in mind just how much we have delivered. The GSLP Liberal Manifesto has been at the centre of everything that we have done. We have not forgotten who put us in government, and you will continue to be at the centre of everything that we do. Thank you for listening, and good night.